Okay, hello all and welcome to Linux Day 2. And this guy here is gonna be us today because we're gonna start the practical stuff today. So if you have any kind of virtual machine, please get it ready so we can do a few commands and a few stuff. Okay, so today we're gonna talk a little bit about the file system hierarchy. We're gonna check out the difference between the concept of folders and directories. We're gonna check basic commands like creating, deleting, and moving, copying files and directories. We're gonna see how we can enter the date and calendar, how to list and print directories and content, list user and their information, help and manual content. Okay, so file system hierarchy. Before we start this part, I want you to understand that there's this thing where if you worked on Windows or Linux, there's a hierarchy, a file system hierarchy. So a hierarchy is like, if you open the next slide, we're gonna see it's more like something that is organized. And you see here's the root, he's the father, he's the godfather of all the paths. And we start from the root directory. And then we have all these kind of directories. We're gonna check it out later. The bin, the boot, the sbin, the temp, user var, ment, lib. But before we start, there's this, I want to delete this slide. So we're gonna take a deeper dive into the hierarchy systems, and we're gonna understand what these mean. So what's if we open the root home and then we went into another stuff, we're gonna see this. So let's understand what's file system hierarchy and a path. So let's open any kind of file system. Can you see the file explorer I opened? I think you can, right? If I open the file system. Okay, great. So if you open documents, and then we open, let's say, GitHub. You see, so this is a hierarchy, a file system hierarchy. We open this PC, which is this one. Then we open the documents folder or a directory. Then we open GitHub. So if we clicked on this guy or this icon right here, we're going to see we're in the C drive, the local drive. We're in users, Mac, documents, and GitHub. So again, if we also open the C user, we open users, we open Mac. I'm gonna check documents. We're gonna see the same thing. You see, it's gonna be the same pathway. It's gonna be C Mac users, users Mac documents get. So this is a pathway. This is like where we are or where we're working, and this is called a hierarchy or a file system hierarchy. And this is we use it a lot in Linux, and it's one of the most important concepts in Linux. It's a file system. So we're working in files, we're working in directories, we're working in paths. So we need to understand this hierarchy and how it's structurized. So as we said, we have the father, that is the root. Then we have all these that are under the root. So we're gonna start and get more deep dive into these stuff. So you don't have to memorize this. This is only if you're a system admin or you want to like customize stuff in your Linux. This is just for basic knowledge. It's something you need to understand, you need to know, but you don't need to memorize. So slash bin is essentially for binary commands, and it's in single user mode. We have the sbin one. This is for system admins. It's for system maintenance tasks like network configurations and stuff. So the difference between the bin and the sbin, one is for single user mode, like a list and copy. We're gonna check these commands out. And these are executable commands needed for the system boot and operation. Also, we have the slash boot. So a lot of people keep asking me, what does boot mean? And why do we need booting? And why do we need bootloader files? So when you want to get out or like you want to hang out with your friends and stuff, the thing you do before you leave the house is wear your shoes or wear your boots. So think of it like that way. So slash boot is like your computer wearing boots before it goes out. So this file gives you the opportunity, or gives the opportunity to the computer to load files and a kernel and initializing RAM disk images and bootloader configuration files. Slash div is for devices. This is it represents hardware devices like disk terminals and printers. Slash lib is for libraries. And then sbin, we said it's for system administrators. It's for system maintenance tasks like network configurations. Media and mount are the same thing, but the difference is mount is temporary. So media is removable media such as USB drivers, CDs, and DVDs. Mount is the same as media, but it's a temporary mount point. So this is a mount point, and this is a temporary mount point for file systems. And admins often use these to mount file system temporarily. So it's a temporary thing, as well as the slash temp. It's also a directory for temporary files created by users and apps. And they're typically deleted when the system is rebooted. So these two are temporary files. Slash etc, which is the most, it's one of the most important hierarchies. It contains system-wide configuration, shell scripts, and boot and initializing the system. It contains the passwords, it contains everything actually, and we're gonna see that. It contains the usernames and everything. So this is really important. Slash var is for variables. You know, when something is unknown and it's expected to change in size and content over time, it's unknown, so it's a variable. So these things are into the variable files, and it's like log files, mail spools, and printing queues. Slash home is where we work, and we're gonna see that in our Ubuntu server. We're gonna work in slash home. Then if we want to create any kind of directory and enter that directory, our path is gonna be slash home slash that directory. So it contains all users. Each user has a subdirectory within home, and you can store your personal stuff and settings. Slash user, it contains user and their data, so we don't really need to understand this. It just contains user programs and data. Okay, so the difference between folder and directory, it's just a naming thing, you know. So a folder, it's same as a directory, but this is more commonly used in Windows, and this is more commonly used in Linux. Why would we say that? Because you see here, it's more commonly used in graphical user interface or GUIs. It's also easier to use, and it has a visual representation. But directories is more commonly used in CLIs and programming, and it's more structural and hierarchical, like we're going to see in Linux. It's the same thing, it's just it's the same naming. So we're gonna go over this very quickly because you're not gonna understand unless you do this in a practical way. So we're gonna go through the commands easily. So the structure of any command may be like this. So it's command slash option, and we're gonna check the options, and maybe file.txt, maybe a directory, maybe we don't want anything. Maybe we just want to list stuff. So we just write ls, or maybe we don't need any kind of option. So this structure is more dynamic. It's not a fixed thing. Like you can change this based on your demands. So we have 3 slides that talks about commands. So we have the list command, which is ls. We have the make directory command. It's creating a new directory. So it's kind of easy. You don't have to memorize this. It will come when you're using this a lot. Print working directory, or show me what path I am in right now, as we saw. So it's PWD, it's print working directory. Change directory is cd. So if you want to change between folders, you can change using this cd and then the directory command. rmdir, it's remove an empty directory. Please be careful about this empty directory. We also have rm-r, it removes files and directories that are not empty. And we have rm-rf, which is forcefully remove any kind of directory and repeatedly remove them. Like it enters a loop state, and we're gonna check the difference between these two. So the /r is like when you have a directory that has files and stuff, it removes these files, then it removes the directory in a loop way. So it repeatedly removes them. Touch is creating a new file. It's different than creating a directory, but this is not the only way to create a file. There is multiple way to create file in Linux, but touch is one of the most common ways. Cat is a way to display file content by concatenating the text that is inside this file content. Who am I displays the currently logged in user. So if I write who am I, it's going to show me the user I'm using right now. CP is to copy files. MV is this is move, not more. It's either move or rename files. So how to rename files in Linux, you use the mv or move command. So how do we rename a file, or how do we move a file? It's move this file into this file. But if we move, if you move the file into the same file, you can rename it. Date and cal, it displays the date and calendar. Kind of easy. Man and help and what is. These three, like 13, 14, and 17, these are for help and help manual and content stuff. So man is for manual. If you write man, any kind of command, it shows you and gives you a brief description about the options and what you can do with this command. Help, it's also a helping content. What is, it describes the command. Echo, it displays the text, like when you echo a stuff, or صدى لما تحكي like برجع بحكي لك again, it's echo من صدى. Echo $0, it's a current shell working on. So this displays what shell you're working on. In Linux, typically we use bash script. There's a lot of other scripts. So if we say shell types in Linux, we have like multiple, like T shell, we have PowerShell, Corn Shell, Bash Shell. We use like one of the most known is PowerShell and Bash Shell. Yeah, here's PowerShell. So echo $0 shows us what shell we're working on right now. And who shows us the users, all users into the system. Who am I is the current user, and who is the system, all users. Okay, so let's do this in a practical way. Let's open our virtual machine. Can you see my virtual machine? Okay, you can see my virtual machine. So this is a virtual machine. It has the GUI. This is the Ubuntu. I have the jellyfish background. And either we can open the terminal by right-click and open in terminal, or you can find it in here. Or maybe you can search for it. I have it in my favorite, so I'm going to open it right here. Okay, so let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, great. So here you can see that it says man sudo root for detail. To run commands as admin, you can use the root user or sudo command. Sudo is for super user do. We're going to talk about this in day 3, more about users and super users and all these kinds of stuff. So let's start from our first, let me remove this first. Okay, let's start in our first command, which is ls. So it has listed all the directories that are available in our system right now, which is desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public snaps, templates, and as you can see. So if we said ls minus LA, which is an option to list all of the hidden files, everything that we need, and you see here, we're gonna talk about this. This is a directory. This is information. Like basically, this gives you the information, the root, users, group IDs, and stuff. You don't need to know all of this. It just gives you more detailed information, like list long all. So if we said ls minus a, it's gonna list all the hidden files that we need. So ls minus a, it's gonna give us the hidden files. And if we said ls minus l, it's gonna give us not the hidden files, but the files we had earlier up, these in a long version. So A is for hidden and L is for long. And if we can add them together by ls minus A as we saw earlier here. So this is the command and this is the option. We also have, if we look at the structure, and we have like here downloads, okay? So if we said ls minus L and we said desktop, of course, it's capital sensitive, so you have to see. So we see here total is 0. We don't have anything inside desktop. Maybe we said ls minus L and downloads. We also have nothing in downloads. Okay, so this is our first command for today. We saw that we can say ls alone, we can give it an option, and we can also give it a directory. Okay. So let's now make a new directory, which is make dir and call test1. And now when we list it, we're gonna have test1 here, right here. And let's create a new file. So we have this option of calling it touch file1.txt. And then we're gonna list it again. We're gonna see that file.txt is a different color because it's a file, not a directory, or it's not a folder. Okay. Now we have created test1 and we have created file.txt. Now we're gonna need to enter into test1 and create a file there. So how we're gonna change directory, we're gonna cd change directory test1. And here you see that it have entered test1. Okay, so now, until now, we have listed, we have created a file, we have created a directory, and we have entered and changed directory that's called test1. We don't know what path we're in, even though it's right here in front of us, but we need more specific details. So if we wrote pwd, which is print working directory, it's gonna give us that we're in the /home/maya/test1. So /maya/ the user that is using it, and /test1, which is the directory we're in right now. So does anyone have any kind of question till now? Did you understand the hierarchy of the file system and why we have paths and why we have all this kind of stuff? Okay, great. So if we wanted to create a file, we said we can create it by touch. So we can say touch. Let's say text.txt. And if we list it, we're going to have the text.txt. So there is another way to create a file. It's called echo. We said if we said echo hello, it's going to show us hello, you know. So if we said that put echo hello inside of a new file that is called text1.txt, it's gonna create a new file that has the word hello. So if we want to display the files, display the content of a file, we say cat, which is concatenate and display text1.txt. It's gonna, I'm sorry, this one, there is no such file. Oh, it's a test, not text. Okay, sorry. Cat text1.txt, not test, it's gonna print me hello. So there's two ways to create a file, either with the touch command, or we can just say echo the bigger sign and put it in this file. But if we have a file that's called this way, it will not create a file. So if we cat text.txt, we're gonna have nothing because there's nothing in it. You see? So if we said echo, this is a text file, and put this into text.txt, and then we concatenate and display file.txt, it's gonna tell us that this is a text file. So again, we have listed with option, we have listed with a directory, we have made a directory, and we have created a file. Then we have changed and entered into this folder or this directory, and we have printed where the path we're working in, which is the print the working directory, and we have shown that we're in the home /home directory /Maya /test1. Then we have created files in two ways. We have created by the touch command, which we know, or we have created by echo, bigger sign, txt1 or text1.txt. txt is the format which is a notepad like txt. And we have echoed the word hello, and we have concatenated and displayed the content of text1, which is hello. Then we have entered, we have tried entering or concatenate and display the content of text.txt, and nothing has showed. So there's this way that you can echo this is a text file into text.txt file, and then we displayed it, and we had this as a result. So anyone has any kind of question till now? So there's multiple ways of doing this. It's not just one way. Linux is like you can do multiple stuff. You just do whatever you want, whatever you're feeling like. You can add multiple options, multiple files, multiple directories. I'm sorry. So you can do whatever you feel like. So there's no fixed way in Linux. You can do whatever you like. Okay. So let's clear our screen. Just write clear. It's gonna be empty. And now, if we said cd ... it's gonna go back a step, and if we print the working directory, we're gonna see we're at /home/Maya. We can also say if we're like entered test1, and we said /home/Maya, it's gonna be the same result. So cd ... is go back a step, or cd and you wrote the whole path, it's gonna be the same thing. Also, let's list what we have. Okay, so we have test1, and we're gonna make a new directory called test2. Now, if you wanted to list the things in test1, we're gonna see it's not an empty directory. But if we want to list test2, we're gonna see it's an empty directory. So if we want to remove test2, we just remove the directory, remove directory, which is test2. It's gonna remove it, like ls no test2, right? But if we want to remove test1, and we wrote the same command rm test1, you're gonna give us it's failed to remove because it's not empty. You see, here we have two files. So the way we remove a not empty file, or a directory that has files and folders in it, we just say rm minus rf, like forcefully remove, or just remove repeatedly test1, and then if we list it, it's gonna be removed. So here you can see that we can't see anything. Also, we can't use rmdir with files like text1.txt is going to give me an error because it's not a directory, it's a file. So we need to understand the difference between a directory and a file. And we need to use rm file1.txt. And then when we list it, we're gonna see that it went back to normal. So we saw the difference between rm and remove directory. We have cpwd, we have created, we have changed into directories, we have done a lot of stuff till now, and I guess everything is all right. I've already started, Brenda. Okay, so let's clear our page and let's check the date and cal commands. So if we write date, it's going to show us the date and EST time. It's 7/7/2014. I don't think cal will work. Maybe, yeah. I have to install it. So let's install sudo apt install in cal maybe. Okay. So we have installed the calendar so we can display it. So sudo apt install is just package handling stuff. We're gonna take this in the few sessions. I just wanna show you the date and the calendar commands. So let's just wait until it downloads, fully downloads. And let's check what other commands we have. So we have tried the touch cat. We have tried all these. We're gonna check out the move and copy. Who am I? Who? What is an echo? We have done echo actually, and we're gonna see man and help. Oops, I have stopped sharing. Let me reshare my screen. Okay. Yeah, it's still downloading for some reason. Yeah. Okay, that was a mistake. No problem. Clear. So if write cow, yep, here we got the calendar. Okay, so if I wrote who am I, it's gonna show the currently logged in user. So it says Maya. So who is gonna show all the users that are available and the users who've logged in. So who am I and who is actually related to users. So let's say what is ls? ls, it says it lists directory contents. Maybe what is cats? It concatenates and print on a standard output, so it displays the content of the file. Let's clear our screen. And let's say man for manual. Okay. For example, what manual page do you want? Let's say man as a thing. So it's going to show us the synopsis. Okay, I thought someone raised their hand. Fine. So synopsis, which is the syntax, maybe we can give it an option or a page, the description, and everything we need. So there's a lot of stuff actually. So if we said man ls, it's going to show us that it lists directory content. Maybe you can give it an option in a file. Those are optional. So here, you see, if we said -a, do not ignore entries that starts with a dot, which is the hidden file. And if we said L, let me search for L. Yeah, use long listing format. See here the stuff we have used earlier. So this can help you. And all man is a manual content. So if you said man cat, it's gonna show you all the things in commands that you need. It's the same as help. Help is gonna show you everything. for to command, how to do for loops, how to do functions, how to do hash commands, cd, a lot of stuff. So help also helps you to understand more about these kind of commands. Okay, yeah, and we forgot about the shell. So we're currently working on bash script, as we said. So if we said echo $0, it's gonna show us that we're working on a bash script. So that's we already know that. But if you're working on PowerShell, let me check if I can do that. PowerShell. PowerShell. Let me try and say. I think it's gonna be in different format. So echo $0. Yeah, I think it's gonna be in a different format. Let's say echo. Hello. Yeah. So this is a PowerShell also. It's kind of similar to Linux, but maybe there's a few different formats. I don't think make directory text one. Yeah, so here we created a directory, and if we listed it, I think we're gonna have test one. This is the PowerShell, and this is the bash shell. Okay. So these are commands for today. There's also an exercise I would like you to do if you would like. There's one, what is on at least 3 commands that are you curious about? Yeah, there's a lot of commands, more than these that I just showed you. So if you want to also create a directory called first directory and create 3 files inside of them, add some text in one of the files and display it. So this exercise, if you're kind of interested in doing these, I just did these in the recording. It's very easy to do also. And it's just a way to get you into the more practical stuff. So Q&A session. Let's go to the Q&A session. So guys, what is the most command that interested you the most? Is it cat? Is it make directory? Is it touch? And what are your opinions on the lecture today? Like, how do you feel after today? Maybe I'd say my favorite command is touch and echo. Thank you, Randa. Echo and touch is great because you can like create files using echo. It can display a lot of stuff. You can display what bash you're working what shell you're working on. So I'd say echo is my favorite command. Plus, and like plus one knowledge. Echo is also used in PHP code. So I'm gonna show you like open ChatGPT, and I'm like, I'll write the PHP code that echoes. PHP code that echoes. Hello. We're gonna see. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's regenerate this. So you see, even PHP code uses the word echo. So it's kind of similar to the shell scripting stuff. Thank you, Runda. So yeah, I'd say that PHP is more like a shell plus JavaScript plus another few languages combined together. It's the worst back-end programming language to program with, but it's it's great for a back-end language. It's the worst programming, I guess. Okay, so I think we have finished day 2. And I want to thank everybody that have joined. Day 2 is kind of a bit more interesting than day 1. It's more theatrical. Everything is interesting. Thank you, Sabine. It's kind of less theoretical. I like the practical stuff. I think it makes you understand what you're doing even more. And in day 3, we're going to cover more about users, groups, and permissions and text editors. This session will be a bit more interesting because you can do a lot of stuff in text editors. You can open a text editor, you can do a for loop, a function, you can do a lot of stuff and a lot of examples. But for today, I think this is enough. And I'll stop the recording right now. Stop sharing.